This is Carly and Evan Smock with the Linton-Stockton Student Press, and we're here with
Josh Goodman.
Thank you for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.
What inspired you to go into law enforcement?
Well, I've always wanted to be a policeman since I was in middle school, actually. It just looked like a really exciting job where no matter what you did when you went to work, your day was kind of different every day, and I wouldn't be stuck working in just an office, but I could get out and move around and be in other places, and you have a real opportunity to make a difference in your community and in people's lives.
What were some challenges in the beginning of your career in law enforcement?
Probably the biggest challenge was I grew up in this community, and when you get into law enforcement in an area where you grew up, it's sometimes more difficult when you're in a situation where you respond to a police call to have to handle that situation with people that you know or that you grew up with or went to school with, or that, I've even been to calls with people that I went to school with, and that can be pretty tough.
When you first began in law enforcement, did you have any goals you wanted to accomplish?
Probably the biggest goal is I just wanted to make a difference.
When you were younger, what were some of your thoughts and impressions about police officers?
Well, I really always looked up to law enforcement officers, and both law enforcement and military. Both of my grandfathers were in the military, and that kind of, just that type of job always interested me, and just looking up to them, I thought they were great role models.
What are some differences you have experienced in the different agencies you have worked with?
There's a lot of differences. Probably, just the type of job you do at each agency is different. When I was working at the Linton Police Department in the beginning, I was a uniformed police officer that drove a marked police car, and you deal with different calls and different situations and respond to things differently. And a large majority of your work is reactive. And then when I got involved in doing narcotics investigations and was assigned to various drug task forces, both state and federal, almost everything you do is proactive. You're going out and looking to solve a case or try to stop drug flow into a certain area or those types of things. So that was a big difference for me. And then when I came to the school, that was a big difference, because my goal here by no means is to arrest people or take people to jail or things like that. My goal here is to maintain a safe environment and to make as much impact and difference in kids' lives as I can. So three pretty broad areas that are completely different.
Can you describe your experience working with the FBI?
At one point in my career when I was working narcotics undercover, I was assigned to an FBI task force out of Indianapolis and was deputized by them to work cases with them. And I can't get into like case specifics, but it was an interstate drug trafficking organization that we were working, and it was a really good experience. I really enjoyed it, and when you're working cases at that level, they're pretty large scale. So I loved it. I loved every minute of it. The only downside to it was I was gone a lot. The first assignment there, I was gone about 6 months, and I had to live there. I could only come home about one day a month, so that's a lot of time away from your family. So you kind of have that trade-off, and that's how I ended up deciding to come back. It was a lot of time away from the family, but I really enjoy that kind of work.
What are some things you enjoyed about working in drug enforcement?
Probably my favorite thing is it's an adrenaline rush almost every day. It's exciting and it's dangerous, and and almost every day I went to work doing narcotics investigations, you get some type of that elevated excitement and rush from doing what you do. And I enjoy that. I mean, kind of that feeling of riding a roller coaster or somebody scaring you when you least expect it in the dark or something. You know how you get your heart rate up and elevated? You get that when you work narcotics almost every day, and I just enjoy it.
What made you decide to work as the LSSC School Resource Officer?
Probably the biggest thing was I had decided to leave narcotics, and I was conducting just general investigations, and I didn't enjoy that as much. I didn't feel like I was making as much difference there as what I could. And when I learned about the school opportunity, it was kind of twofold. It had a lot more flexibility with my schedule to where I could get more time with my family, and I had the ability to interact with kids and people a lot more, good people, and have the ability to make a difference with kids when they're younger and they have more of an opportunity to improve their lives.
What are some differences that stand out to you between being a drug enforcement officer and a school resource officer?
There's probably not a lot at all that's even similar between the two. Probably the biggest difference is when I'm working narcotics, everything is like a proactive pursuit. We kind of have a direction and we know where we're going all the time. And at the school, something new comes up every day. And I have the ability to get in contact with people that I feel like have more of a chance of making changes in their lives to give themselves more opportunities in the future when they're in school versus when they are 30 or 40 or 50 years old. It's harder to get people to make real life changes at that point to where they can really change their lives.
What are your goals with this school as a school resource officer?
Well, my primary goal is to make sure everybody gets to come here and feel like they're safe. If they feel like when they walk in the building every day, they don't have to worry about anything bad happening or somebody attacking them in the hallway or some bad guy trying to get in the school or things like that, I feel like they can focus more on their own lives and their education and their athletics and their extracurricular activities and things they really enjoy, and they don't have to be stressed out about coming to school. And that's my primary goal. Secondary is, having grown up in this community and worked in this community my whole life, I feel like this is the best place to help make a difference with people's lives that may not be on the right track right now before it's too late.
If someone wanted to go into law enforcement, what kind of advice could you give them? Would you give them?
Well, one thing is it's a very rewarding career. The best advice I could give them is to get in contact with a police officer that they can actually sit down and talk to. And as they get to an age where ride-along programs are available, they should do that, because what you see on TV is nothing like what it's really like. And some of the things that are seen on TV are a lot of times the good things for a policeman or the highlighted things. You don't always see the really bad or the really scary or the really stressful things. And they should go out and do a ride along and see what that experience is really like and make sure it's for them before they invest a lot of time going to school or moving their education in that direction would be the biggest thing. And then focusing on your education is huge. Things that I learned, in school, for example, language arts, I have to do a ton of paperwork. I've typed search warrants that were 75, 85 pages before in a couple of afternoons. That's a lot of typing, a lot of paperwork, and then a judge is going to look at that, and maybe the appellate court's going to look at that, and you really want to make sure you don't have a lot of mistakes in that. And to be successful, you have to have the ability to do all of those things. So focusing on your education and being well-rounded, everything. I've used everything in law enforcement, from language arts to computer skills to Spanish to chemistry and math. You know, all of those things are things that a law enforcement officer uses on a weekly basis.
What do you hope your legacy will be in law enforcement?
To be honest with you, I just hope that I make a difference to somebody. If I try to make an impact on somebody's life every day, that's all I care. I'm not worried about people remembering me per se. I'm just hoping that people that I have an impact with can improve their situation or have a better life, having had contact with me.
This has been Evan and Carly Smock with the Linton-Stockton Student Press. Thank you for giving us your time.
You're welcome.